Woven in the Darkroom. Episode 3 The Negative Garden. Welcome back to Woven in the Darkroom. This is our final episode for now. Before we unravel today's mystery, tell us where you are listening from tonight. If you followed us from the moving photographs of Wisteria Hall through the echoing threads of the sound loom, then you know these artworks weren't just strange, they were alive in some way we still can't explain. But there's one last story, the most elusive, the most whispered, and the most dangerous. It's called The Negative Garden, and no one who's entered it has left unchanged. It began in 2009. A failed photography student named Ilya Mendrik was hired to catalog an abandoned greenhouse estate in northern Czechia, known locally as the Chadlovy Dvor, or the Mirror Courtyard. The estate had been sealed off since the 1960s, after a bizarre fire consumed most of its gardens except for one greenhouse, which remained untouched, but always cold. Inside, Ilya found no plants, no soil, no tools, only negatives. Hundreds, thousands, hanging from clotheslines like drying herbs, stripes of undeveloped film, some rolled like vines, some curling into flower-like knots, and scattered on the ground, frames. But the images on the film weren't of plants, they were of people, faded, mouths open, eyes always off frame, as if the camera had caught them mid-sentence. He sent some of the negatives to be processed. They came back blank, but Ilya swore he could see movement in the original stripes, faces changing. One figure of a woman in a long coat began to appear in more and more frames, though she was never in focus. And then the negatives began to multiply, literally. Each time he visited, more were hanging, tangled in door frames, coiled around old watering cans, and all of them were images of him. It didn't make sense. Ilya had never taken those pictures, but there he was, walking, crouching, staring up at something the frame never revealed. He called a friend, Maya, an artist and archivist, to come to see for herself. She stayed one night in the greenhouse, only one. Her audio journal was found later. I'll play you a segment now.
It's not cold anymore, it's humid, like breath. The film? It's soft, like skin. I touched one and it moved. Not from wind, from memory. I saw my mother's hands, not in a photo, just appearing in the emotion. I never took that picture, but I remember the moment, the garden, before she left. Is it printing memory now? Ilya said something last night. He said the greenhouse is like a dark room, but reversed. It doesn't develop film, it develops you.
Maya vanished the same night. Ilya claimed he saw her silhouette inside one of the negatives the next morning. When he touched the film, he heard her voice, not on a recording, but inside his skull, repeating, "Water me, I'm still here, I'm still here. He never left the greenhouse again. 3 years later, urban explorers found the site buried in fog. The surrounding forest was overgrown, except for a perfect square of barren land around the glass house. Like nature itself avoided the place. And inside, all the negatives were gone, except one. Pinned to the center wall was a large contact sheet, unprocessed but dense with shapes. When one of the explorers took a flash photo of it, she collapsed. Witnesses said she screamed without sound, her mouth open but no noise came. She later said she had seen her own funeral, except no one was crying. Everyone was looking at their phones, except one figure in the back, a woman in a coat holding a frame with no pictures. I spoke with one of the last researchers to study the case, Dr. Pavel Kriz, a visual cognition specialist. He believes the negative garden was a failed attempt to create anti-photography, an art form that erases visual memory instead of preserving it. Instead of capturing, it extracts. What's left behind isn't an image, it's an echo. And if too many of those echoes gather in one place, they begin to form new roots, not plants, not people, but versions. I tried to find the site last winter just to stand near it, but there's nothing on the map anymore. No record, satellite images blur that area like something wants to be forgotten. But here's what chills me. 1 week after I started working on this episode, I received a package. No return address. Inside was a film strip, unprocessed. I held it up to the light. It was me, in my studio, sitting, talking right now. I didn't record that. I didn't take that photo. And I swear to you, in the corner of the frame was a woman in a coat holding a watering can, and behind her was a mirror, but it didn't show me, it showed you. Listening right now.
You're blooming now. Don't stop listening. It can be dangerous.
This was episode 3 of Woven in the Darkroom. We may return. There are whispers of other works. A sculpture that bleeds when lit, a mural that burns itself onto skin, a sketch that finishes itself at night. But for now, look away from the frame and remember, not all art is meant to be seen. Some sees you first.